In the past, we had a few conversations about professionalism in the office. We had a couple interesting conversations about run-ins we both had dealing with people working from home. For example, start with the one with the bathrobe. I always found that mildly interesting.
Yeah, our organization, we were contacted by a company that was potentially interested in arranging some of our services for their employees. The person who had contacted us, I think, it was executive level, might have been director or VP, I don't remember exactly, but a person with responsibilities higher up, and we had set up a call just on an introductory level to go over our services. I said, "Hey, do you want this to be phone or video?" They had said, let's do a video call. I go, great. You know, Monday morning comes and it's time for the call and turn on the video and I have my, my button down on and they're in a bathrobe at the computer. Just looked like they kind of rolled out of bed.
Do they have their hair towel on too?
No hair towel, but their interaction with me had to have been the very first thing that happened to them that day.
So you feel a little uncomfortable. You're looking at this person in a bathrobe that you're trying to conduct professional services.
Right. Especially because they could have had this this done over the phone. Like this didn't need to be a video call, but yes, it was a little off-putting and I know that they're buying our services, but at the same time, it's like even though we're selling to them, we want to make sure that they're a great fit for us and that I'm talking with someone that has a lot of responsibilities and is a decision maker within the organization.
And it's, maybe where the work from home stuff gets a bad rap sometimes because things like this happen. And you're right, though. They're buying your services. They get to do whatever they want to an extent, but you can see where stuff like that causes a problem. But you had another story where
Yes.
something similar, I guess, maybe not as bad, but still lacking in professionalism.
Right. And we deal with what our staff does. It's pretty sensitive and kind of emotionally charged service that we provide. We sell a service that oftentimes involves someone getting laid off from their organization. And I was on a video call with someone who, um, you know, t-shirt, beanie, an extremely casual, again, similar vibe, rolled out of bed look as they're talking about laying off several employees out of their organization. And the look of the call didn't match the tenor of what we were discussing.
Weren't they laying in bed with like stuffed animals?
Yeah. Yeah. So it was.
I mean, again, they're buying your services if they want to do that. But is that kind of not the issue you're seeing? You work with people getting laid off all the time, and you're hearing more and more companies talk about the struggles of managing a remote workforce. And then you yourself have to see these things saying, oh, imagine if they had to take a call, if they're in HR, they take a call from an employee and they're in a bathrobe, or all these things are going on that no one's really paying attention to that normally wouldn't go on in the office. And that has a cost, is what we say. And I had a story about a bank, a major bank. We were looking at changing banking and credit facilities. We're not a small business anymore. We're big enough we're middle market, commercial banking, whole different level of thing for those people that don't understand. And, I called this big bank, I think one of the four largest banks in the world, and get the call booked. And the guy answers the Zoom from home in his little office, and, like a t-shirt that looks like his kid's been pulling on the neck of it. And just, you think of bankers, I'm thinking someone in a suit, doesn't need to be a tie, at least a dress shirt. Typically, when you're talking about money, you don't want a guy that's in a t-shirt, talking about millions of dollars here and there, and really turned me off. Like, I don't know, I don't feel like this is commercial banking to me. So I ended up not going with that bank. Now, again, I'm the buyer, so I get to make that decision, but do you think that's probably a lot of like professionalism is trickling down to some of the people getting laid off right now that you're seeing on the outplacement side?
Absolutely. I think certain with the work from home, concept, a lot of liberties get taken. And these are instances where, so you and I just have anecdotes that we've personally experienced from scheduled events that happening. To your point, if something unscheduled happens and you have that employee that's caught off guard or, is unprofessional or, just for lack of a better term, potentially disrespecting the situation that they have to adhere to based on how they're, frankly, how they're representing their company. Uh, a lot of problems come up with that. It costs businesses money. Hey, why did this deal fall through? You don't always get that answer. You don't always understand why people don't call you back. And so there are incremental losses that come with that aren't seen. And so that kind of thing is potentially impactful for employees.
But you can also think like professional extends beyond the background, the bed and the stuffed animals or the robe. It also is your behavior and holding yourself accountable. And I find it funny if you look at 2019 versus 24, 25. Not that a lot of people answered the phone in 2019, but almost nobody answers the phone now. And I find it crazy sometimes. I'm trying to give you money and I'm calling and calling. No one answers the phone. And sometimes it takes days to get a response back. And I'll often hear, oh, I was working from home. I didn't get your message.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're not checking your work voicemail? A lot of times you get a voicemail and an email from the voicemail, but either way, it's you literally ignored all your calls from the last 2 days. Yeah, I already hired somebody else. And, that's why I think we think of professionalism as this way we look. And no, it extends into how you work. And are you holding yourself accountable? Are you starting the day on time? Are you ending on time? Or are you taking things for granted? Which, we talked a bit before about, there is people kind of ruining it for the work from home crowd. Like the hybrid work environment does work until you have these group of people that end up ruining it for everybody else.
Right. And ironically, the people that are most open to going into the office and working full time and being around something, building with one another, are oftentimes the people that are the most sufficient at home and people that are able to take care of everything. It's those who don't want to be around others, don't want to be a part of the company building things, that need to work from home, that, like you said, oftentimes, ruining it for others. So, yeah, liberties get taken and it happens.